Okay, welcome. Today we're going to look at how we use a Macintosh to do the two-group average and the ANOVA. And of course, we can also do this on Windows, but with Windows, we have more powerful functionality with Excel than we have with Excel on the Mac. I've think that we can still do everything on the Mac that we can in Windows. So let's go and see how we will do a two-group average and an analysis of variance, in other words, a three-group average. And these are the type of things that you will need to do for your marketing research report. Now, again, you are assigned the two-seat runabout, and I've taken the one-seat super cycle. So your results for this difference analysis, in other words, comparing two group averages and comparing 3+ group averages or ANOVA, they will be different than mine because you'll be using a different column of data. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is click that plus sign at the bottom, and we'll call this case 13.2. Again, the advanced auto is a case that is the second case in each one of the chapters. So at the end of the chapter, if you go to case 2 at the end of the chapter, for each one of the chapters, that will be advanced auto. So chapter 13, we're doing advanced auto. What you'll need for your marketing research report is the ability to do a two-group average and an ANOVA. So let's look at how we do these. So for the two-group average, we're going to take a column of interest, for example, gender, that has two different groups in it. And then we're going to see how that how the two groups compare in their preference for the supercycle hybrid car. So first thing I need to do is go to data, and then I'm going to get gender, that column. I'll right click it and go copy. Then I'll come over to case 13, paste that column in here. Now I have my gender column. I can work on it. Second thing I'm going to do is go over to column AK. I've gone to define variables, and the supercycle preference is column AJ. Your column is going to be column AK, commuter preference. Mine is AJ, yours is AK. So I'm going to copy my column AJ. So I highlight it, hit Control C as in Charlie, come back to case, and paste it in with Control V as in Victor. Now I've got my data that I can actually use to do a two-group average that we'll need to see, is there a difference in the cycle preference between the two groups in gender, male and female? Well, again, we've done all this in the marketing research Excel lab, which we did about 4 weeks ago. We spent a whole period on that. There's a whole video on that, and there's a whole worksheet describing step-by-step what needs to be done up on our Sakai website. But this video is how we apply it to this one specific topic. We covered this when we did our lab 4 weeks ago, but today we're going to focus on just this. So I put my cursor somewhere in column A or column B. I go up to Insert, go over to Tables, and put in a pivot table. Range is fine. I'm going to say select here existing worksheet. And for my location, I'll just put it in column E2, cell E2. And then it gives me the framework for building my pivot table. I'm going to drag my grouping variable, gender, to columns. I'm going to drag my target variable, the thing I'm interested in seeing, is there a difference, my target variable, to values. By default, Excel gives you the sum of the cycle preference. That's not what I want. I want an average. Remember, we're dealing with 2-group average or 3-group average. So I'm going to click the down arrow, go over to value field settings, and change this to average. And there we have the averages that we need. Now, I'm going to change the format of these a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my values, drop down list, average of cycle, click value field settings, go to number format, a button at the bottom left. I'm going to select, instead of general, I'm going to select number. I'll leave it at 2 decimal places. Click OK. And now we get a little bit tidier result. And of course, 0 is male and 1 is female here. And so we see that there is a difference. Okay, so next, what we want to do is look at, let's do, just to compare, we'll do the Excel Data Analyst to see the results. And so we'll go to compare 2-group averages, gender as our grouping variable, preference for supercycle 1 as our target. You'll be using preference for supercycle 2 as your target. And click OK. And it rounded a little bit. So I have 3.09, it has 3.1, but close enough. So we're happy with that result. So you can take this result and show that in your paper, if you're a Mac user, that yes, there is a difference between males and females. Now, let's also look at when we have more than 2 groups. So most of our demographic variables, things like age category, income category, education level, size of town, those type of demographic variables are going to have more than 2 groups in them. So obviously with gender, we have 2 groups, 0 and 1. Let's get another data column and see how that works. So I'm going to come back to data and I'll shuffle over to the left. And then I'm going to select age category, column E. And of course, we'll do it for education category, job category, and income category. But it'll be exactly the same thing as what we're doing here, same pattern. So first, we select age category, Control C. We come back to our worksheet, case 13.2. In column C, I put my cursor in C1, cell C1, Charlie 1, hit Control V as in Victor to paste it in. Now I've got the data I need to do an analysis between gender and I do an analysis between age category and cycle preference. So let's do that. I'm going to go up to Insert. First, I place my cursor anywhere in my 3 columns. I go up to Insert, Tables, a pivot table. I'm going to leave the range as is. I'll click Existing Worksheet, put my cursor in the location text box, and I'll put this pivot table in column E14, in cell E14. So I'm going to click OK. Again, it gives me the framework for building what I need. So I'm going to copy age category over to my columns, cycle preference over to values. And here I'm going to, by default, it gives me sum. So I'm going to hit this in the values quadrant in the pivot table framework. I'm going to click the down arrow, go to the bottom of the pop-up menu, value field settings, click that. Instead of sum, I'm going to select average. And I'm also going to change the format. So I'm going to hit the number format, go to number, leave it as that. And here we have our results. And we can see that, oh, it looks like group 3, 4, and 6 fairly similar. Group 5 is not as interested in the cycle as the other groups, but group 2 is much more interested in the super cycle than the other groups. So let's compare that with what we get doing the Excel Data Analyst. So I'll click Add-ins, then compare 3 group, age category, and then preference for super cycle is my target. Click OK. And we get the same, 2.5, and then we have the 3s, 3.2 to 3.3 in the in the middle groups, except for the 50 to 64-year-olds. They're much less interested. However, if we look at 18 to 24-year-olds, yes, they're very interested, 4.9, much more so than the other groups, which is the same findings we found for the average of supercycle preference. Okay, so any questions on how we do that? Okay, well, go ahead and do that for education level, job category, income category, marital status. And what we'll do is then we'll next week create a demographic persona of someone who's interested in our car. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and we'll follow up with what our persona is. Now, you should be doing that not for my car, which was column AJ. You should be doing it for your car, which is column AK. This is Mac users. Obviously, Windows users, we showed how to do that in the Chapter 13 lecture, and also we've shown how to do it here as well. Okay, go ahead, spend 25 minutes getting that, and then we'll come up with our demographic profile, a persona. Okay, let me show you what I've got. First, let's take a look at our marketing research report. Again, this is something I put up on Sakai. I also put up a blank template, but since we've already gone over much of this as graded classroom participation, I put it in because you've already been graded on it. So we have the research background, establishing the basis, the process, this chapter 3 stuff, and then chapter 4, the survey instrument, and so on. So we've gone through the various chapters answering these sections, and these will be the same for all of us. Demographic composition, again, this is something we went over in class, and it again will be the same for all of us. The sample demographics will be the same. So here's where we start to go different. In section 6 of the marketing research report, I'm doing an analysis specific to a one-seat hybrid. You will be doing analysis specific to a two-seat runabout. So what we covered last week was the probability of purchasing a one-seat hybrid in the next 3 years. And so we come up with an average and then a confidence interval. We had 111 million people as potential customers, and that gave us a range of 13.7 to 16.9 million potential buyers. Now we're looking at demographic interest in the one-seat hybrid. That's what we did today. So this is what I found. I found, and I highlighted in red, the people who are interested. So age-wise, 18 to 24-year-olds. Education-wise, people who are interested in a super cycle. Some college, high school diploma, less than high school. Income category that's interested in the super cycle, under 25,000. Again, you can see pretty stark difference, 4.2, and the others are much lower. Size of city, 1 million or more. Parking's probably a big factor. Again, 4.2, much higher than the others. Gender preference, male. Marital status, unmarried. So what I did is I just summarized the reds down here. So I have the demographic variable, gender, marital status, age. So with gender, I came up here, the one I have in red, I just put down for the super cycle one-seat hybrid, males. Marital status, come up to my marital status demographic. Unmarried, I highlighted in red. Marital status, unmarried. Age, then we go back up to age, 18 to 24-year-olds. So 18 to 24. Education, less than high school through college. Income level, under 25,000. You can see that here. Hometown size, 1 million or more. So now I have here that I've highlighted a demographic persona. This is the person we're trying to reach with our marketing. This is the person most interested in buying a one-seat super cycle. Obviously, you're going to have a persona for the person most interested in buying the two-seat runabout. Okay, next week, we're going to use crosstab analysis to see what marketing vehicles are best to reach our persona. Okay, any questions? All right.